Welcome to Sewing Anastasia, and today we are going to make a beanie. I know you've probably seen a lot of other videos out there on beanies, and I feel like a lot of them are hot gluing things together, blowing my mind. So I'm going to teach you how to sew a beanie together in a professional way so you can have it forever. And it's going to be such a nice quality that you can gift it. And it's really not even that much harder than gluing it together. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that way you know when all my new videos come out. And videos come out every week. Supplies for this project are very easy. First, you're gonna need a pattern, so maybe you have one, or you can get mine from my website. It's gonna look something like this. Perhaps like a centipede of sorts, but it's gonna be a pattern for a fully lined hat. Next, you're gonna need matching thread. You're going to need some scissors. You're also going to need your rotary cutter, and my new favorite, unicorn snips. And make sure you choose an awesome fabric for your custom-made beanie, and make sure that it's a knit fabric. So I have this cool vintage sweater knit that I'm going to be using to make my beanie out of. Super excited. And you're gonna need 3/4 of a yard of that fabric. You can use just about any fabric for this project as long as it has a little bit of stretch to it. The first thing we wanna do is lay out our fabric. Now when you're laying out your fabric, you wanna make sure you position it so that the stretch of the fabric is going horizontal. So that way, when we place our pattern on here, the stretch is gonna be going around your head. So I have my pattern laid out, and I have the pattern laid out so that the stretch of the fabric is going across the pattern. This is really imperative to make sure that your hat fits you correctly. Now, I'm gonna put my weights on my pattern and cut out my pattern. I'm going to be using my rotary cutter here, but you can also use scissors. Now that we're done cutting, we're gonna pull the excess fabric away, and we will be left with our hat ready to sew. Now that we're all cut out, we are ready to sew. So the first step is gonna be sewing up the really long edge on the hat. So we're going to place right sides together, and we're gonna end up sewing from this point all the way down to the other point. Today I'm going to be using the Husqvarna Viking Epic 980Q. I'm going to be using a straight stitch on it for this project, so you can use any sewing machine that has a straight stitch. Now I'm ready to sew the seam up. Make sure you're using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and make sure you're back stitching at the beginning and the end of your stitch. Now that I'm at the end, I'm gonna back stitch and cut. Next, we have to create this dome shape. So we're going to take these flower petaled shapes and sew them together. So they go one after another right next to each other. So it's 1, and then the next one is 2, and then you have the third one, which is 3. So you have these 3 curved shapes that we're gonna be sewing together that meet up at the center of the hat to create the dome. Now we have 2 ends to this hat. So we also have this end. So you're gonna do the exact same thing to this end, open up these flower petals and sew them together in a dome shape. But we have to leave an opening on one of them, about 1.5 inches, so that way we can turn the hat right side out. So don't forget to leave that opening, but go ahead and we want to sew 6 petal-shaped pieces so that way we can create the dome for the outside of the hat and the lining. So basically, this part of the hat is going to be the outside, and this part of the hat is going to be the lining. That's why this pattern is so cool. It's like magic. Sewing magic. So now we're gonna sew these petal shapes together. Right sides together. So you can start at the top or you can start at the curve down here. Either way will work. Just make sure they're lined up properly. You can use pins for this. So remember, a 1/2 inch, and of course we want to back stitch. When you get to the end, you don't want to abruptly stop, otherwise you'll end up with a bump on the outside. You want to smoothly transition into the side of the hat like you would the point of a dart. Back stitch and cut. Now onto petal 2. Time for petal 3, the last one on this side. Now I've flipped it over to the other side and I'm going to start sewing up petal 1, right sides together. Now we're on petal 2 for this side. Now we're on petal 3, and on this one, we're going to leave an opening. Back stitch, cut, move up a couple of inches, and then start your seam again. Now I'm going to go ahead and snip all the threads that are on this hat. I love these unicorn scissors. They are so sharp and cute. You can't go wrong. Now that we have it all sewn up, we need to go ahead and turn it right side out through this opening that we left. Let's do it. Okay. So now you're gonna end up with this tube. Pretty funky, right? You're thinking, how is this tube going to be a hat? Well, the side that you left the opening is gonna tuck inside, and then we'll sew that up. So watch, we're gonna take this and tuck it to the inside. And now we have a hat. How cool is that? We are also going to tack the 2 layers together at the very top of the hat, so that way your lining and the outside of the hat do not come apart while you're wearing it. Now what we want to do is sew these 2 layers together at the very top so that way they don't fall apart. So go ahead and pull these out. I know this looks like a hot mess. Lay them together and we're just going to stitch within the seam allowance. We're just going to go back and forth and tack this down. Now we're going to tack this down, just back and forth a little bit, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Go ahead and cut. Time to close up the hole that we left in the hat. So fold the seam allowance in on itself, which was a 1/2 inch, and now we're going to edge stitch the very edge of this opening. Make sure you back stitch. Back stitch at the end and cut, and we are done. Our hat is completely finished. I love this hat a lot. So I've also folded up the bottom to make a nice little brim, and because we have lined this in the same fabric, it's the same fabric. When we flip it up, and we have a nice finished edge here on that flip. So this is a really nice, well-made hat. Check out the beanie! I am loving it and super excited to wear this with my red leather coat this winter. This is a really nice high-end product that you can gift, you can keep it for yourself. You're gonna have this product for a really long time because we sewed it with love and care. If you have any questions or comments about the tutorial, make sure you leave them down below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget, if you want the pattern for this hat, you can grab it off of my website. So make sure you go check it out, and the link for that's down below as well. Make sure you follow me at Sew Anastasia and Anastasia Chatzka on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you know, every single social media outlet that exists, I'm on it. So make sure you follow me and check out everything else that I'm up to. And if you're in Chicago, come take a sewing class with me, or I would love to make you a custom garment. Links and information for everything are all down below. If you haven't seen my Patreon lately, hop on over to Patreon and check out all the ways you can help support and grow Sew Anastasia. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so that way you know when all my new videos come out. And I put new videos out every single week to keep you inspired and sewing. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!